There are differences of opinion around the table as to whether an oil pipeline should be a candidate to be fast-tracked without a proponent pitching one. Prime Minister, can you clarify, is the federal government prepared to say it's willing to fast-track an oil pipeline without a private sector proponent saying it wants to build one?
Well, look, it's not a decision. It's not a decision we have to make today. I think what's clear, be absolutely clear. We're saying, and this is consistent. This is consistent with the agreement we had as First Ministers back in March when we met in Ottawa, when we talked about energy and trade corridors. It had a little less focus because we hadn't translated that into a legislative initiative and more specifics about projects. There is an ability to build that energy infrastructure, that oil pipeline. I'm going to refer to my earlier answer and to Premier Smith's answer moments ago about a grand bargain, decarbonizing the barrels, various ways to do that. I agree with her, and so the opportunity is there. The market is there in Asia. It is within, last point, it is within a bigger framework that the Western premiers and the territorial premiers have come up with, which is the Western Arctic Corridor. So it's much more than that. And sometimes the discussion is reduced far too much to one type of project. It's important, but the range of what we're discussing is much, much bigger than that. And if I can just finish with this is the point for the country. Our ambitions must be bigger and broader, and what we heard today, what we discussed today, was entirely consistent with that. Big, broad ambitions consistent with having the strongest economy in the G7 and being an energy superpower. Thank you.
We'll have time.
And what I heard from the Prime Minister is that, I mean, it's up to us to find the proponent, I think. I think if there's some certainty that a process is going to be successful in a reasonable period of time, a 2-year window, I think that there will be a proponent that will step forward. My view would be that we'll have failed at the assignment if government has to build another pipeline. That will demonstrate to us that we didn't create the conditions for private investment to come to the table. So I'm encouraged that the Prime Minister is prepared to do a 2-track process. Let's identify a project and a window and work towards identifying the ways, some of the barriers that have been in the way of the current regulatory process, at the same time as working on fixing the regulatory process so that it makes future projects easier to approve. I think the reason we have to have a fast track is because we know that there are barriers. And so if we can kickstart it and have a dual track, I think that we may be able to achieve the outcome. We'll know in a couple of months' time, hopefully, whether this new approach is going to work, but I think it's worth giving it a try.